time tonight. Before we start, you might have seen a little article on The Citizen about me. The reporter came to my house and totally missed all of the Maoist artwork on my walls, and somebody had told him in a phone call. So he called me back and said, "Look, we sent a photographer to take a picture of your Maoist art." I said, "Sure." So these two photographers come in from The Citizen and they look at some of the artwork, and one guy says to the other, "Mao was a really good guy." I said, "Well, not really, you know, he killed around 70 million people." And the other guy said, "Well, what about George Bush?" So it's kind of, you know, you got Mao on one hand and George Bush on the other, you know, it's hard to tell who was worse. But it was great getting some great publicity in The Citizen this week. Of course, did you catch my little piece on the CPC this morning? No. Anybody? No, of course not. Once again, we were shut out by the CPC. Just a quick thing. The Free Thinking Film Society was founded in 2007, largely as a response to Michael Moore. Back then, his film Fahrenheit 9/11 was everywhere, and I asked the Bytown Cinema in town if they would show a competing or a counter film, and they refused. So I realized the only way I could see some of these films was to start to bring in these films myself. And we brought in films. Our first film, in fact, we got off to a very funny start. Our first film was Obsession about Radical Islam, and it was canceled by the Rainbow Cinema at the St. Laurent Shopping Center because of one email complaint about the film. So I learned early that basically in the corporate world, they fold very, very easily sometimes. Since that time, we've shown around 80 films, 3 film festivals, brought in around 15 speakers, book launches, etc. So we do all sorts of topics, from China to North Korea to the Sea of Hunt to multiculturalism to the CBC. We've done all sorts of topics, and we've got a lot more coming up. Just a few things that are coming up. June 3rd, here at the Archives, we're having a book launch for Bob Clemence's new book, The Truth About Trudeau. So finally, a conservative look at Pierre Elliott Trudeau by Bob Clemens. So that is June 3rd here at the Archives, Monday night. Then we'll get your copy of his new book on Trudeau. On June 17th, we're going to do something really strange. We're going to show a film. We haven't done that in a while, but we're going to show this film, Aftermath. Aftermath is a Polish film that's basically taken the country by storm. You might not recall this story. 10 years ago, a historian wrote a book about a small town in Poland during the Holocaust where the Jews were rounded up into a synagogue. The synagogue was burnt to the ground, but it turns out it was not the Nazis, it was the local Poles. And that one caused a firestorm, and now the first major feature film about that incident has been released in Poland. As you can imagine, that film has taken the country by storm, a huge amount of controversy, and we're going to have the Canadian premiere of that film June 17th here at the Archives. Islam is a topic that we've done many times. We started the Film Society with the film Obsession. We brought in a number of speakers to talk about Islam. We brought in Andy Storhop, we brought in Bruce Bauer. We had a meeting with Kurt Wilders. We've shown several films we'll continue to do this. But tonight, the genesis of tonight was largely because of my good friend, Salim Mansour, and who started talking to me around a year, 2 years ago about would I do a seminar on Islam and Islamism and the difference between the two. And so we started a dialogue between us about this topic. And what really drove this home for me was last January. I was contacted by a friend in Montreal who was bringing over a speaker who's a candidate by the name of Gavin Bovey. Gavin Bovey is a lawyer in the UK who goes around and helps local planning authorities stop the building of mosques. And he goes and he's indiscriminate, he'll stop any mosque, whether it's an Ahmadiyya mosque, you name it, small, big, it doesn't matter. And I said, no, I won't. I will not help with that event. I'm not bring him here for free thinking or whatever. And Salim and I then co-wrote an article about this topic for the August Citizen, which led to a lot of debates with some of our friends. And we decided that we really wanted to have a bigger event to really talk about this and really get out some of the issues about Islam versus Islamism. We clearly face a huge problem today, and we wanted to get this out, and tonight is what we're doing, Islam versus Islamism. Tonight, the event, we have some great co-sponsors of tonight's event. I'm very, very lucky to have the MacDonald-Laurier Institute, one of the new think tanks in Canada, to be one of our sponsors. And Brian Lee Crowley is here representing the MacDonald-Laurier Institute. And their literature and books are for sale, and you can browse them outside. I strongly urge you to look at some of their books, including this one here, The Canadian Century. You're going to learn a lot of stuff about Canada you never knew before. Cardis, which is a think tank based in Montreal, which is very, very concerned about the social construction of the country. The Canadian Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs was another sponsor tonight. And my friend Richard Marceau is here. Where's Richard? Richard, stand up. Richard is one of my friends. He works with and he wrote a terrific book about his experiences being a Quebec Jew, and thank you very much for coming. Some other people here, my friend Flora Love Katz is here in the front row. Flora Love. Flora Love just won an award from the City of Ottawa for her volunteer work. Thank you very much. My good friend Dr. Roy is here. Dr. Roy is one of the big Tory bloggers. Dr. Roy, if you want to stand up. Our main speaker tonight is a man who I follow on a religious basis. Daniel Pipes is one of the foremost experts on the Middle East. He knows Israel, he knows all of the Arab Muslim countries, he knows the conflict, he knows the philosophy. He's written 12 books on this. He's got a daily, almost daily newsletter that he publishes, which you can sign up for, by the way, outside, get on this email list. He writes regular columns for the Washington Times and a whole variety of other publications, articles in the New York Times, the Washington Post, again, National Review. His blog has over 64 million hits, and he's just one of the true experts on the Middle East. And he's written about the subject of Islam and Islamism several times. So please welcome Daniel Pipes.